I just gave birth exactly 2 months ago. And I am here. I am super grateful to the healthcare heroes who took such good care of us. And I am happy that my baby is healthy, especially since she was in my belly during the peak of the pandemic. Last year, there wasn't much data to inform how, you know what, impacts moms and their fetuses. I wrestled with questions like, is it safe for me to get pregnant now? And if I do, will I jeopardize my baby's growth and development? And what if no one's allowed to be with me during delivery? My long list of worries grew and grew and grew until it mutated into this big, scary bully trying to push me around. But the bully was a disguise for something I knew very well. Fear. Fear of catching cold-hearted corona, fear of being far from my family during my vulnerable time, and fear of hurting my unborn baby. While it would have been so easy to let this bully take me down, I connected with something inside of myself far more mighty than fear. And that was my courage. Interesting fact, the cur in courage comes from Latin, which means heart. Courage comes from the heart. Courage matters because every day we all have to do big and little things we've never done before despite the unknowns. So, in a world where fears can instantly show up and catch us off guard, there's one question that stays with me. How do we call in courage? Right before turning 30, I had an experience with courage that changed my life. I was anxious and afraid because I was unemployed, pregnant with my first child, waiting for the bank to approve my first home, and trying out entrepreneurship as a new life coach. In the past, when my fears would pile up, I'd turn to that conventional wisdom. Feel your fears and face them anyway. But that wasn't working. I was stuck in the mud because my fears were too much to feel and face all at once. I needed another way to get my hands on courage. So how'd I do that? I got curious. I wanted to know what exactly did my courage look like and how could I make it available to me when I needed it most. My curiosity eventually led me to my very own coaching toolkit, and in there I remembered metaphors. Metaphors are magical because they are powerful tools that can help you make meaning of emotions that might otherwise be difficult to understand. During my digging, I discovered my metaphor for courage. She has kind brown eyes, rocks ruby red lipstick, and adorns gold bangles. She also rides a lion or a tiger, depending on the day, and she holds a weapon in each hand. All 8 of them. Who is she? There she is, one of the fiercest warrior goddesses and mothers in Hinduism. Her name is Durga Ma. This image comes to me from a postcard I picked up a decade earlier when I was studying abroad in India. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, but fast forward to me all up in my fears, she showed up. Durga was also much more than a picture. She had this dynamic energy, and she also had something to say. When I tuned into my heart to listen, I heard her say this. I am here with you. The courage, power, and strength you need is inside of you with me. I got your back. You are more than enough, and you are not alone. Whew. I was blown away. First of all, I didn't know that warrior goddesses could talk. Second of all, I didn't think I was worthy of such an empowering message. And if she could talk to me, did that mean I could talk to her? There was only one way to find out. I needed to talk to my courage. So that year, I began to speak to Durga, both in my head and out loud. And whenever I spoke to her, she spoke back. Even during the times when I was too shaken up to reach out, she'd come through. For example, when I was in the hospital and over 12 hours of labor with my son, I learned that he was in distress and I got really scared. What if something were to happen to me in the operating room? And what if my son didn't bounce back from the NICU? Amidst my anesthesia, I heard her say, "You'll both be fine." That assurance meant everything to me because it gave me the mental strength that I didn't even know I had to persevere during one of the scariest times of my life. Now, I want to invite you to try something with me. Sit back, relax, and let's color outside the lines for a minute. Take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes and tune into your heart. Imagine your courage. What does your courage look like? Don't overthink, just roll with whatever emerges. There's no right or wrong, and it doesn't matter who or what you believe in. Your courage is going to show up the way it looks and feels true for you. Now take another deep breath. Stay tuned into your heart, and this time, listen carefully. Does your courage make a sound? If so, who or what does it sound like? Is there an energy to it? What does your courage feel like? Pay attention to whatever rises. And if you feel compelled to talk back to it, you can simply whisper, "Thanks, let's catch up later." When you're done, take a nice deep breath to come back. And as you're coming back, I want to thank you and acknowledge how courageous you are for trying this out and stepping into the unknown just for a little bit. Again, there's no right or wrong. This is just a chance for you to picture the possibilities as it relates to communicating and connecting with your courage. By the way, I still talk to Durga till this day. She encouraged me to wear these red sneakers with my black dress because my postpartum feet cannot fit dress shoes anymore. She also helped me build up the bravery to voice my truth. And for me, where I come from, that's huge. Because if my ancestors, who were exploited by colonizers, if they dared to stand up for themselves, they were punished in unthinkable ways. Connecting with my courage in this way also helps me tap into something so much greater than myself, allowing me to think big, live big, and impact others in a really big way. As a life coach, I have a lot of conversations with people about their fears. And it's through those conversations that I learned that they can talk to their courage too. One of my clients, we'll call him Perry, he's a salesman. And every day he's got to put himself out there to pay his rent. And that can be scary. So I guided him to tune in, just like we did, and picture his metaphor for courage. This is what he pictured. He's Perry the flying squirrel! But Perry wasn't having it. He was not a fan of free falling in the air. Perry needed support, and in a panic, he pleaded, "Can you tell me when to pull the parachute cord already?" Suddenly, a voice emerged from his chest, replying, "You got this." That was a game changer. Not only did that help Perry's fear start to melt away, but he found the courage to stop procrastinating, launch his online sales program, and he even left a long, toxic relationship. freeing him up to keep flying, squirrel suit and all. Another client of mine, we'll call her Maddie, discovered that a puma was her metaphor for courage. Pumas? She was baffled. Pumas didn't seem as valiant as lions and tigers. We had to Google the symbolism because we didn't know. But what we found out was really interesting. It turns out that pumas are fiercely protective, wise, and clever. This made sense to Maddie. Okay, she could see her puma as a source of strength to help her overcome the guilt and the grief that she felt stepping away from 20 years of caretaking duties for her parent. Maddie's puma also made a sound. When she leaned in to listen, she heard a familiar voice. It was her cousin who lost her battle to cancer. This didn't freak out Maddie, though. In fact, when she felt really anxious about leaving this era of her life behind to step into her new chapter, that voice would emerge saying, "I didn't make it, but you can." Ever since, Maddie has embraced her puma. She found the courage to make new arrangements so that she could buy a brand new home, move out of state, and she's even dreaming up her new business opportunity. Now, I know you might be wondering, what's up with all these animals? And I'm happy to share that there are people with other courage metaphors too, some of which ranged from trees, mountains, and even the wind. As a mom, I couldn't help but wonder what this courage activation could look like for a child. So one evening after bedtime stories, I sat down with my 4-year-old and I asked, "Baby, what does your courage look like?" His response, "My courage looks like a little red spider with blue hands and a blue tummy, and he sings his ABCs with me." When I asked him what the spider does when he's in the dark, because he can get really scared of the dark, he said, "Mommy, when the spider says hi to me, I'm not scared anymore." The late English author J.R.R. Tolkien once said, "Courage is found in unlikely places." I couldn't agree more. And I believe that connecting with our courage in all its forms, whether it's the flying squirrel, the puma, or the spider, is important. So the next time you feel scared, remember that you are more than enough to access your courage from within. Plus, when you activate your courage, you encourage someone else to do the same. Take a moment. Tune into your heart. Picture your courage. Listen to what it says and don't hesitate to talk back to it. Once we tune in, we can stand up to bullies, face the dark, and confront the unknowns, all while riding lions and tigers.